Welcome to Oscar Films in 5 Minutes, breaking down the best of the Best Picture nominees. I'm Dan Drake, and in this video, we're looking at Quentin Tarantino's Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. What's it about? Why is it worthy of Oscar nomination? What's up with that ending? And most importantly, is it worth your time? Let's put 5 minutes on the clock. Here we go. Once Upon a Time in Hollywood is a hangout film, which tells the simultaneous stories of actor Rick Dalton, stuntman Cliff Booth, and actress Sharon Tate in 1969 Los Angeles. Surrounding this film is the real-life story of Sharon Tate's brutal murder at the hands of the Manson family, the followers of Charles Manson. This is a bit of a touchstone event that, along with Vietnam and other significant political events, helped move America and Hollywood out of an age of innocence and into the grittier, more cynical 1970s. And through this film, Tarantino has the opportunity to look back at that time with fondness and make statements about how we remember the past, how hard it is to hold on to what we love, and how small moments like driving the PCH with the windows down and the radio on, or getting high and watching TV with a buddy, are the moments in life that really matter. 1969 was a transitional time for the United States. We were about to send men to the moon, so the unspeakable murders, like the Manson murders involving Sharon Tate, they shattered the country's innocence. The country's youth grew ever more restless and distrustful of men in power. It's as if Tarantino was saying, hey, remember how it was before things got crazy? But the past was never better, it only looked better in reflection. And Once Upon a Time in Hollywood is a loving recreation of the past, while also being self-aware enough to know the limits of such a recreation. The movie is about our tendency to cling to the past, to resuscitate our memories, trying to make them live forever. This movie is also a statement about Hollywood itself. This time period saw a transition from old Hollywood to new Hollywood. Rick and Cliff, played by Leonardo DiCaprio and Brad Pitt, represent that old Hollywood, with westerns, black and white, slower paced, and tough guy centric. Sharon Tate, played by Margot Robbie, and her husband Roman Polanski, they represent new Hollywood. It's colorful, exciting, faster paced, action-packed, and growing increasingly more female-centric. And the film itself embodies this. The first 2/3 of the film unfolds slowly, is more character-driven, and it has a western setting. It feels like an older movie. The final third of the film then takes things up several notches, giving it a newer Hollywood action scene, filling the frame with everything we come to expect from a Tarantino flick, flamethrower included. And yet perhaps the best thing about the film is its subtle yet intentional ending. After the mayhem, Rick finds himself in a conversation with Jay Sebring, a friend of Sharon Tate's who's staying at the house. They're obviously mystified by the fact of what just occurred next door, and they invite Rick inside for a drink. Now on the surface, this seems like a strange, anticlimactic ending, but it has deep meaning. First of all, this scene represents old Hollywood meeting new Hollywood. I think part of Tarantino's point is that new cinema must embrace and incorporate the best of what's come before in order to truly build off of it and take cinema somewhere healthy and vibrant. Like the film we just watched, old and new can coexist to make something great. And larger than that, this ending rewrites history. Sharon Tate is saved. This takes the horror of history and the pain of what really happened and gives it a nice, typical Hollywood happy ending. And yet it's not this triumphant, explosive moment. Our characters don't ride off into the sunset. It's still grounded in reality, albeit an alternate one. Which leaves us feeling sad that life isn't really like this. For all this and more, I give this film 4 out of 5 stars. Films are illusions, and this film confronts us with the comfort we find in those illusions. It reminds us that Hollywood is not immune to tragedy, no matter how hard it might try to convince us otherwise. The last shot of the movie is beautiful in a happily ever after sort of way, and yet also gut-wrenching when you realize that the past never unfolded like that. But maybe, Tarantino suggests, we can redeem the past in our recollection of it. Perhaps we can focus on the beauty and not the brutality. Perhaps. Hey, if you like this video, you can click here for the rest of the Oscar series, or you can click here to subscribe. And for a deeper dive into the channel, check out our patron-only podcast over at our Patreon page. As little as $1 per month gains you full access. Oh man, I made it with plenty of time left. This has been Oscar Films in 5 Minutes. I'm Dan Drake.